All right, we're in for a treat, gents. We're in for a treat. We've got a big result coming. We've got Mr. Dan Holtby on the Zoom. He's just finished his 12 weeks. Monday, we're on Friday, the 7th of February. He finished on Monday. First 12 weeks in the program. Dan, how did you get on? How much weight did you lose?
Yeah, 41 pound gap. So phenomenal. When we were
Shit,
speaking,
1 pound short of the 3 stone. He must be pissed off.
well,
Joking.
truthful. So yeah, but yeah, it surpassed my expectations, tenfold. So I think going into the program, we were sort of like targeting that 20, 25 pound, and then to come out with sort of 41 pound was phenomenal result. So really pleased.
Yeah, it's an amazing result. I mean, anyone over, I think really over 30 pounds is up there. As you know, I always promise if people follow the program, I promise 20 plus. That's all I can really promise. I would say 99 out of 100 will get that. Maybe a few go a couple of pounds under, but most, as you know, will go over 20. But anyone they go over double that is just beyond. But there's a reason. I mean, you followed everything to the absolute letter and then some. So just tell everyone your starting weight and where you are now.
Yeah, so I started at 253 pounds, and then I finished the 12-week program on 212 pounds. So yeah, 41 pounds in total.
Amazing. Now, tell everyone how you felt then compared to, because as you know, the number on the scales is great, but it doesn't actually mean anything. It's what it translates to, how you show up, confidence, clothes, energy. Just tell everyone the difference between how you were feeling before to how you feel now.
Yeah, I would say sluggish. A lot of my efforts go into work, and things like that. Sort of, and then that's at the detriment sometimes to the family, but this has sort of afforded me, moving from that sort of feeling sluggish and tired when you come to some rest time, to feeling energized and, just having that routine. You create the habits, the rituals, the routines in your working life. But it's been sort of working in the personal life in terms of fitness and, getting in shape. So for me, I think the biggest difference has just been, more energy, uh, revitalized really. But you're sharper thinking as well, Gav, with, all the sort of weight coming off, and it's strange, isn't it? Because, you know, we're eating fewer calories, but of more of the right things. But yet you've got far more energy than when you sort of plowing stuff in. So yeah, I can't speak highly enough of it.
Yeah, you make a good point there. So it's obviously it's controlling the calories because we've got to be in a calorie deficit, but it's when you increase the nutrients, so to speak, or the quality of the food. So it's not just a straight 1700 calories. It's making high amount of protein, good nutrients, which allows you to stay there. But I know you tried different things before. You'd attempted different things. What worked? What did we do specifically in this 12 weeks that enabled you to adhere to what we were doing? What do you think worked and what stood out for you?
I think before I've had some really good uh, initial results, not for such a prolonged period, 12 weeks, maybe done something for sort of a month or two and seen some good, quick wins, but it's not been sustainable. It's, whether it be, sort of a carnivore style or just really cutting out certain food types or
Yeah.
eating very little. Whereas we know with this, I think the big appeal for me was that we don't restrict anything, so everything's on the table, so a drink, nice food, bad for chocolates, the chocolate stays in, and other things. So you're never restricting yourself. So I think previous programs, you sort of the end, or you feel that you try and give up because you just don't see an end point to it. Where with this, it's not an end point as such. It's just a completely different way of life, and I think that sustainability element of it, and that sort of flexibility around controlling the calories, but not cutting anything out, is
Yeah.
is a game changer.
Yeah. No, you make a good point there. And I want you to repeat that. Did I ever, in any time in the program, did I ever tell you there was a specific food that you had to eat? There wasn't one And was there any food that I specifically told you that you couldn't eat?
No, and I think that that's the sort of, the agility in that, and the sort of, opportunity to be able to pivot on different things, and, without rules and sort of, being drilled to rules. That's not this program. So, a lot of autonomy, lots of guidance. And I think what you said before, it, it, the code is the code, and what you do, you don't want to simplify this because it takes away from the impact, but you give us a set of tools. And then I've always said this throughout with the group, how you apply, why wouldn't you not just put 150% into it? Because if you do, you're going to maximize the result. And make no bones about it, even with the tools that you give us, even if you sort of put 50% into this, people are going to lose £20. But
Yeah.
why not fully immerse yourself, commit, and see what the potential is? And I wouldn't say I was 150%, sort of committed, but I showed up every call, I listened, I wanted to push the boundaries and push the barriers, but it wasn't restricting. I didn't miss out on anything. Lumped in the middle of this was Christmas, of course, wasn't it? Coming out of Christmas period, I think overall £3 lighter.
And just remind everyone that this is over Christmas and New Year that you've lost this as well, isn't it? So it's not like you had like a perfect 12 weeks. It is potentially the busiest time with work and social events and family and everything, wasn't it?
Yeah, so coming out of that, whereas traditionally, Christmas, you let the reins go, and you could put on, £7 easily, couldn't you? This was game changing, because actually came out Christmas down. So had a really good Christmas, good rest, never restricted any foods or drinks, or and still lost weight over the program. So the sort of proof was really in the pudding with that test.
Amazing. We'll talk to everyone, because a lot of people, when they potentially come into the program, and maybe some of the reasons they don't join is maybe not trusting themselves or me or the process, but also they're scared of maybe they've been in a program where they haven't had enough support and the community. Talk to everyone a little bit, because as you know, at the moment it's a great place to be. Talk to everyone a little bit about the WhatsApp group and the support and the community there, and how well that works.
Yeah, I think that's a massive part of this program, isn't it? Where you're only a sort of text message away from an answer to something. So, if you don't know, the 14 to 20 other guys are going to jump on and sort of give some steer. So, and then as you transition through the program, you become sort of a micro coach to others, and it creates this self-perpetuating sort of group that delivers lots of information. But I think the WhatsApp group as well, knowing that you're sort of doing it with others, you there's a lot riding on that. You definitely don't want to show up and to the calls to say I didn't commit this week, or I didn't, and I think how you phrase it, with the commitments at the end of each week, of being realistic, of don't say you're going to do something that you can't do, or make it realistic. And then that level of accountability, holding us to account is really key. So that, in conjunction with the WhatsApp group, the goal setting is brilliant as well. I'm someone personally who really likes targets, and working in that space, working with a team, and that's what the WhatsApp group give you as well. It's just a community where everyone's supporting each other to do the best that they can.
That's fantastic. So look, we're 12 weeks in. We've got another 6 months together, so you can't get rid of me just yet. You actually, was it 212 you weigh at the moment? Did you say 212?
Yeah, 212.
What's the final goal? What are we going for long term?
I think 195, 190, something around there. And then introduced a lot of the exercises now. So last May, prior to joining the program at the beginning of November, I had some knee surgery, and with the exercise phase that we're now embarking on, that's getting stronger as well. So it really has sort of give me a new lease of life in that way now. And now it's about sort of getting down to that 195 ideally, but then the sort of body composition part of it,
Yeah.
really training and becoming stronger. And you speak an awful lot around age, and as we progress through the ages and getting stronger. And I think that confidence comes in the gym all the time now in terms of the progression, learning new methods, learning new techniques, and you're not the newbie in the gym anymore neither. So as you start to evolve and you change, you've lost the weight, but you're working on the sort of shape and the rigors now and the routines and the rituals. And yeah, like I say, you're only the newbie for a short period of time, and that wears off. And just encourage anyone to sort of take that leap of faith and reach out and get involved.
Yeah, and you make it a good point actually, and I really want to sort of reiterate that. You said no one's ever actually said this, how you become like a little micro coach yourself. It's a really nice way of saying it, and I've structured it as the program in the coaching business is what we call evergreen. So it's not like a whole cohort of people run through the program. So you could be in week 10 or 11, and there's new people coming in weeks 1, week 2, and week 3. So the great thing is they get to see some of the old pros, for want of a better phrase, that have been through the program, and they get to see the pitfalls, what worked in week 6, what didn't work in week 6, and it's structured that way. And once I went to a group element, where before, I think I've said to some of you guys before, I maybe would have 20, 30 clients at a time, but they were all working with me individually. It created twice as much work, probably 10 times the amount of work, and the results weren't as good. So when we moved to a group collective, when people know they're in a tribe, there is that little bit healthy competition, although no one's really competing with someone else, but they secretly are as well. Everyone wants the best result. No one wants to come back next week not having done what they said they would do. So it works really well. But look, guys, girls, listen to this. The reason Dan lost 41 pounds, and there's a big reason behind the people that do really, really well. One, they follow the program, of course, it's a given. And I can guarantee you this, if you follow the program, you will lose weight. What I say to everyone individually, how much you lose depends on you, the effort you put in. But bigger than that is the reason why. You have to have a massive reason why. Look at all the guys that lost 30 pounds or more. They don't just want to lose a couple of pounds for the summer. They want to make some radical changes to their health, to their life, to their energy. I know Dan's why was bigger than most, and that's why he's got a great result. So look, for the people that are watching, hopefully there'll be a few, usually on LinkedIn. Would you say it's been two parts question? Would you say it's been a worthwhile investment? And the second part of that, what would be the advice you would give to them if they were thinking about investing in themselves?
Yeah, I think without doubt it's a worthwhile investment, and like I say, it attaches some extra accountability, doesn't it? But I think 2 years ago, we spoke, and I didn't, for whatever reason, join the program, and I think at that point it was, well, I can do things on my own. I can read some books. I can go online. I can sort of do this. But I think ultimately the undercurrent or the cause there is really around a mindset. You've got to be in the right headspace to start to embark on something like this, because like I said, you're gonna lose 20 odd pounds with just following stuff. That's a given. But why just commit 50%? If you're in, you're in. So for me, I knew that I was ready for this, and like I say, it is a huge commitment, because it's a psychological shift in terms of your way of thinking to not go back there. So for me, the not going back there is going to be the key. And the program, is every element of the detail that's in the program, from the calls to the advice to the WhatsApp groups to text messages to dedicated one-to-ones from yourself to tailoring the why and the working out what the calories look like in the early days is just to perfection as you go through. So it makes it easy to do that. We've got to get up each day and put commitment into the program and make sure that we're following it. But like I say, you're not restricted with anything, and I think that is a game changer from many other regimes or diets or anything like that. This is unique in that sense, and it's a sort of one-off. So it's never to go back, only forwards, and now it's about building that momentum and pushing on.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, for everyone that is watching this, the second phase, what we're working on now, is, and Dan touched on it, is about changing that identity. Because look, anyone can lose 30 pounds. If they follow the program, you can lose 30 pounds. But I will say to everyone, and I said this to Dan, actually, I might not have said this to Dan, because we had a phone call a couple of years ago, didn't we? A Zoom call a couple of years ago. To the new guys, I said it to everyone. I don't care what you can lose in 12 weeks, is what can you sustain over 12 months? So that's where the hard work comes in. The next 6 to 9 months is changing that identity, resonating with what is the person that won 195, 190, wherever that final goal is. What do they look like? Who do they hang around with? The food they eat, the habits they've got. Because only when you can step into that, the future, your future self, will you be able to maintain it. Otherwise, you'll slowly drift back to that default position, which we're not going to let happen, of course. So look, guys, if you want a result like Dan, I know you do, you'd be crazy not to. Starts with a phone call, a Zoom call rather, a 15-minute Zoom call. Go to gavgillibrand.com/book a call, all one word, book a call, grab 15 minutes. And here's the thing, I'll tell you exactly what we did with Dan in 12 weeks, but here's what will happen. You won't believe me, because you won't believe it's that simple. It really is that simple. You might want some more help after that. You can join the program. You'll find out. Everyone gets results on the program, guys. Starts with a call. Dan, thanks for being an awesome client in the first 12. We've got another 6 months together. I'm excited to see where we can take it. All levels of your life to the next level. Let's go. Thanks, mate.
Thanks for everything, mate.